All right.
Mike Skinner flip, Mike Skinner flip, Mike Skinner flip. Got the people at the Mike Skinner flip, Mike Skinner flip, Mike Skinner flip. Got the people at the Mike Skinner flip, Mike Skinner flip, Mike Skinner flip. Got the people at the Mike Skinner flip, Mike Skinner flip, Mike Skinner flip. Got the people at the
So how's that for the Roush Katir doubleheader installment of Biffle and Kenseth of the Goldberg season 9? Oh, mama! I mean, we had a Menudo reference, even though he was part of it. That guy was part of it. Me encanta Ricky Martin and his longtime childhood best friend, Robbie Draco Rosa, who wrote his 1999 number one smash hit, Living La Vida Loca with Desmond Child. We had to smoke it. We had to smoke it drop, and of course we actually got to say it for once, like Tony Stewart, the number 20 Home Depot Pontiac Grand Prix for Joe Gibbs Racing. What more can you ask for? It doesn't get any better than that. Who the fuck needs live airings and live tweets? These catching up shit is way more fun if you ask me. Skip the commercials. You get to make a lot of noise, in a quiet area while your family's all the way on the top floor in the back of the house sleeping, to the point where you don't have to worry about waking anybody up. So, anyway, let's get into it. So, we're going to talk about them both simultaneously because I'm a little pressed for time. I want to have some downtime before I eventually crash, to get ready, for Johnny Benson installment of Promised Land tomorrow with the season 1 finale for my day off, considering my grandfather having his surgery, which, Margaret time for tomorrow has been called off because of it. So I did tell my mom to let Kayla know to tell ViaQuest. That way, Margaret doesn't freak out to the point where she's going to think me not showing up when she's there is my fault, considering, to be fair, it's like we're taking turns and who's not showing up. Last week, her 2 days she was supposed to be there, she didn't show up. Now it's like a week later, well, at least one day this week, one day she's supposed to be there, I don't show up. So I guess we were meant to be. But anyway, we'll save the discussion for maybe Wednesday when we go back, when we do the spring banger, and maybe I'll get her in the opening cutscenes at work. But anyway, wow. And so I wanted to show the Goldbergs my new Austin Dillon, tire that my grandfather and his buddy Tim got there. Okay, I'm getting off topic. Let's talk about this shit. All right, so where do we start? 2 life lessons. Even though you can't turn back the clock, every once in a while, you could slow time down a little. And that's 1. Number 2, if you learn the recipe, life can be pretty delicious. No, if you learn the recipe, you'll eventually learn that life can be delicious. Life can be very delicious. Something like that. Can't remember exactly how the fuck they said it, but I'll figure it out. I'll try to memorize it and probably watch the tape back after I'm done recording this. So, it's always the classic comedy, storyline that as the plot thickens and on all the right reasons. Whenever there's controversy and shit between the characters, in the late part of the beginning, the early, late stages of the beginning and the whole middle part, in the end they always talk it out, What was the first one? The first one, the Biffle installment, was with the whole JTP stuff. And what was the subplot? Oh, Dave, Kim, and Adam being city boys, knowing that it didn't work out for them. Although Dave Kim knew it right away and he just left, even though he lost his newer glasses. I wonder what the fuck happened to those things. Did Kenny Ridwan actually get those glasses back? Or they actually made him use it for the character only? But either way, I'm glad he actually has glasses again. It's better than nothing. And then, Beverly, instead of acting like her crazy self, trying to like manipulate everybody, she was actually helping for a change, and also trying to save her son from going through the same thing she went through in her time as a child. Never got to live that young life that he's living right now, and she regretted she didn't want him to regret it like the same way she did. So therefore, that was really nice of her, and that was nice of Barry to show the JTP, even though they're much older now and they're not kids and teens no more, he'll still love them no matter what, and you're still young at heart. And that, we've known this ourselves even before the Goldbergs. Even before the Goldbergs even put this on during our time watching it. Part of life is growing up and facing change. Part of life is growing up. Part of growing up is changes. So, for example, how the Spurs were competitive back on Lenore and Sandhurst and Redford and Brook Park in Michigan here in Ohio to be exact. And how I wanted to catch every single. I couldn't catch every single game on Lenore because I didn't have the league pass with Dish Network. When we got to Sandhurst and got the league pass with DirecTV, I was able to catch at least every single game, especially with Bill and Sean, because we had all the local NBA channels, because DirecTV is a satellite. You could get channels from anywhere in America. So we were able to catch every game in the San Antonio feed that was on Fox Southwest. And for NASCAR, even on Sandhurst, I wanted to catch every race. That's how passionate I was. But now that I'm older, it's basically, I don't really care anymore, because what I'm trying to say is, back when I was a kid and teen on Lenore and Sandhurst, I would forego doing stuff to actually watch every NASCAR race and Spurs game. Now that I'm older, I just really don't care anymore. I've basically found better stuff to do when the weather's decent, considering, Spurs aren't contenders no more, and it's hard to be in the NASCAR now compared to back in the early to mid 2000s, back when I was a child. It was easier to be into it back then than it is now. But even when I was getting older and realized I wasn't a kid no more myself, when Sprint came in, Nationwide came in, and Camping World came in, and Winston Nextel headed out the window with Busch and Craftsman. That's when I realized I wasn't a kid no more. It was almost time for the new generation to take over NASCAR. Now, the kids today are growing. I probably most likely grew up not only with Sprint, but also Monster Energy and like a generic, series name without the sponsor in the Cup Series. And then, for the lower division, they probably, not only grew up with Nationwide and Camping World. Well, Camping World twice, but most people grew up with, nowadays kids are growing up with Nationwide, Xfinity, Camping World twice, and Gander Outdoor RV Trucks. Whatever the fuck that was called, between Camping World twice. But I grew up with there being Winston and Nextel, as well as Busch and Craftsman. And now kids nowadays are growing up with Arca Menards, while I grew up with Arca Remax. On Wheel of Fortune, I grew up with Charlie O'Donnell being the announcer, and on Alex Trebek being the host. Now the kids nowadays are growing up with whoever is going to be the permanent Jeopardy Alex Trebek replacement, and Jim Thornton, since Charlie died when I was 16. But, that's part of life, and part of growing up is change. I know change can be scary, but sometimes, depending on the situation, change is good. Change is good. I mean, name changes, that's a different story. Fuck that. But, considering, how, when the Spurs were contenders on Lenore, but even when I wasn't able to catch every game, I wanted to catch every game that was on national television, and then every game period on Sandhurst. And on Lenore and Sandhurst, I wanted to catch every NASCAR race because that's how passionate I was. Even though I had drivers that were not even fucking competitive, compared, the Spurs, kicking everybody's ass. I was a fan of Kyle Petty, Juan Pablo Montoya, and of course the Spurs, as always. But Spurs were contending and winning games, lots of games, and winning championships on Lenore and Sandhurst, my childhood neighborhoods. And Kyle Petty and Juan Pablo were either tearing up equipment, running in the middle of a pack, or finishing 30th or worse, multiple laps down every week. And Montoya was slightly better because he won 2 races, even though they were just road courses, his style, at least, he could show he could win at every level, and he actually compete for the win on a semi every once can compete for wins. Unfortunately, the same could not be said about Kyle Petty. I mean, the only flashes of brilliance he showed was getting voted into the All-Star race in 2006 when I lived on Lenore. Even though almost everybody crashed out, he was able to finish 8th, even if it meant everybody had to crash out. But, and this is also on Lenore, but the next year, the Coke 600, like a week out, we went back when I was growing up, but the week after the All-Star race, the week after All-Star weekend in Charlotte, where the NASCAR was there in Charlotte for the 600 after the All-Star race. All the good drivers and the contenders all crashed and blew motors and broke mechanical shit in their cars. And back markers for 2007 standards included us with Kyle Petty, Casey Mears, J.J. Yaley, Reed Sorensen, Brian Vickers, Jeremy Mayfield, and yet those drivers who never always ran up front every week, or some of them couldn't even qualify for every race on 2007 standards. They had a shot at winning the race and putting off an upset. And Kyle Petty ended up 3rd because, Mears and Yaley were able to make it to the finish, and I ran out on the cool down lap. So if that race was 401 laps instead of 400, or Mears and Yaley ran out a lap sooner, Kyle Petty is the 2007 Coke 600 winner. But other than those two things, Kyle Petty, nice guy, who sadly couldn't drive for shit, considering the loss of his son, that only killed his career, and rattled him, but also, ruined any hope Petty Enterprises had of getting back to the promised land. And so, when I moved to Sandhurst, Montoya was doing the same shit, outside of winning those 2 races at Sears Point and Watkins Glen. Sears Point, when I lived on Lenore, the same year Kyle Petty got his Coke 600 top 5, and then Watkins Glen 3 years later, and I lived on Sandhurst. So my Petty retired after the 08 Checkouter Part 500, right, almost a year and a half or two before I left Lenore and came back to Ohio on Sandhurst. And Montoya left after the 2013. Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon come in, and then the true Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon era truly began in this house. It was just the twilight of Sandhurst was just the warm-up. It was just the warm-up. And, when we got here, we finally got it fully into gear. And look what happened. Even though they were bushwhacking like all the other cup leeches, Austin especially more than Ty, because Ty didn't come up to full-time cup until 2017. But all in all, Austin was winning races in Xfinity, even though it really didn't count for anything. Then he won 2 races in 2 years. Coke 600, Daytona 500, then 2020, summer 2020, Samsung Radio Shack 500. He had 3 wins over Montoya's 2, which proves Austin Dillon is better than Juan Pablo Montoya when it comes to NASCAR stuff. And, he had, both those guys combined have more wins than Kyle Petty. Kyle Petty has 8 wins all time, but they have more wins combined. In my time liking them, they have more wins combined than me liking them than Kyle Petty has me liking him. Montoya and Dillon combined for 5 wins, while Kyle Petty in the 45 had none, and he always won. He won his race either before I was born or I was just a baby. So, considering when I moved here, Austin and Ty came in. And, then all of a sudden, here comes John Hunter Nemechek, Daniel Hemrick, Noah Gregson, Zane Smith. Those guys are either winning races or competing for championships or let alone winning championships. And now on the Spurs side of things, after the flashes of, the goated seasons in 2015-16 and 16-17, the year we first signed Aldridge with Tim's last year, and the next year, the first year without Tim, where we came up empty, and, it was the beginning of the end of our relationship with Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio, and then, Zaza, the injury bug biting us with the cheating McDouchebags in round 1, who actually lost to us tonight. Hell yeah. I'm probably going to be back in the saddle maybe Friday, or maybe after the Pontiac Excitement 400. I'll see. Maybe Friday or Sunday I'll be back in the Spurs saddle. So you heard it here first. Friday or Sunday maybe Friday, to properly set myself up. But anyway, so yeah, considering now those guys are winning races and championships. Even Riley Herbst won an ARCA race for me, even though I forgot to watch it and I forgot it was on. And, who else is there? Haley Diggin has a possibility of maybe winning a race if she, gets the right equipment and, gets the right opportunity and, doesn't get rushed up and through the ranks. But I know she hasn't come close yet, but eventually here she will. It's only a matter of time. But most of these drivers I like now are winning races. Some of them winning championships, competing for championships, and the Spurs aren't contenders no more. After, goated 15-16 with Tim's last year, and it even in a goated first year without Tim, 16-17, and then Tony got hurt versus the cheating McDouchebags in round 2. Zaza did the electric slide on Kawhi's ankle, and, in the conference finals, and then adding insult to injury as the cherry on top, David Lee ended up in a wheelchair, and then the next year Kawhi quit on us outside of a subsequent 9 games, and you can imagine the rest, and just led us to the downfall and the end of our dynasty. So yeah, life did a reverse 180 as part of change. Lenore and Sanders, Spurs are contenders. Cal Petty and Juan Montoya can't do shit, except maybe Montoya winning 2 races. Cal Petty gets voted in the All-Star race in 06 and does good. And, Kyle Petty gets his third in the 600. That's it. That's all they did for me. Now, I get here, Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, a variety of others come in. They start winning races and championships, competing for championships, and the Spurs are contenders no more. So that's what I'm saying. I know that was a long-ass, explanation, but part of growing up is change. That's a perfect example of me. We've always known that, before the Goldbergs even existed. Hell, even before we liked the Goldbergs, while it was still on in the earlier, the pre-Kelly Bergel and pre-Run days. So even the pre-Lisa Levine and pre-Anna Grace Barlow days, we already also knew this. So shout out to them. Hopefully with the big leap now gone, we'll get to see Lisa Levine make her return to the show. So to one of my ultimate favorite actresses that I was able to pick up on the big leap because of this show, Anna Grace Barlow, shout out to you and your amazing boyfriend, Andrew Colicchio. So, wow. Yeah, I mean, the whole, City Boy thing was all resolved with Adam and, Dave Kim, even though he bailed out. He did the right thing and bailed out beforehand. And, JT, Barry put it on the line for JTP. And, just to show he cared and loved them. And, JTP was very appreciative at the end. But it was funny to see Erica come in, the dishwasher, and get all a little miffed about, throwing a party that she thought was Adam's idea, but it was Beverly. All she could say was, oh, God. And that was funny. That was the Biff by take on the Biffle installment. Now, for the Kenseth installment, this one was feisty as fuck. What can you say? Jane Bales, the smoking hot babe, versus Beverly Goldberg, the schmoopy, who I occasionally, when I watch the show, wish was my real life mom. And I'm not talking about the real Beverly Goldberg. I'm talking about Wendy as Beverly. Oh my God. I mean, they were feisty. I mean, I know Jane Bales wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. I only support her because I love Erin Hayes. Sadly, I never got to see the original actress, Leslie Grossman, play her, even though I did see her on What I Like About You with Amanda Bynes right before I left Lenore in 2010. I remember that. She was awesome there as Lauren, but I wish I would have got to see the original Jane Bales, but I'm liking Erin Hayes better here, to be honest. But wow, and they shoved each other in the pool like Jerry Springer. And the thing is, Jane Bales and Bev, like always, they talked out their problems. And, Jane Bales said, I'm not trying to take over your husband's store, but I just wanted to stay close to Mike like a true lover would. And I guess I'll find a different way to do it. And I'll just leave the store alone from now on. That was good on Jane Bales' part. Good on her part. I was very wise like Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I'll get to my favorite part of the Kenseth installment in a little bit. Now, for the whole Dave Kim, getting all pissed off at Adam. He had every right to be upset, but only because he thought Adam was the one doing the damage when it was basically Barry and Erica trying to protect him when they really didn't need to, because they were just worried about him. That's all. I mean, but, considering, it's just like my grandmother in real life. She worries about me considering, I've always been in her world for 28 years, as my mom's mom. But at the same time, I feel like now that I'm older, I feel like she worries too much. It's the same thing on the show, Barry and Erica worried about Adam, except they kind of were worrying too much, They didn't trust Dave Kim, and so, therefore, I know Adam tried to, do with a little talking out like he normally does, but David just kept blowing him off, and rightfully so. So therefore, Barry and Erica came to his door and talked it out with him in their language, and so Dave Kim finally understood, hey, I guess that wasn't Adam's fault, that was your fault, so I accept your apology. So they met at school and talked it out, and then shook on it, apologized, and confirmed each other's roommates and hugged it out. That's basically my takeaways on the Matt Kenseth installment. Now for my favorite part. This is the second time. I mean, Haley Orantia has a reputation for doing this with the Erica character. Occasionally just slapping the shit out of all of her fellow castmates in character. And you know how I jokingly say, I wish Haley Orantia could slap the shit out of me, like slap me in the face. I may be joking most of the time, but even when I am joking, I'm also kind of serious about that too. If I ever were to meet Haley Orantia in person, one by one, even if Greg is, her real life boyfriend Greg is in there, I would actually be very, very happy and touched if she slapped the shit out of me in the face. Because I know that's kind of weird, but at the same time, it would be a badge of honor to get slapped in the face by one of your ultimate favorite actresses, that you see on TV all the time, because, I'm talking nonsense. What the fuck am I trying to say? I know it sounds weird. I get it. That's kind of weird. Like, Mark, why do you have a fascination for an actress you see on TV slapping people? Why should she want her to do it to you? Well, here's the thing. I know that's kind of weird, but the fact that, you get to do something with one of your ultimate favorite actresses, or someone of your ultimate favorite actresses does something to you that they do on the show to their castmates, would be a badge of honor. I consider myself Haley Orantia's #1 fan, so it would be a badge of honor for her #1 fan to get slapped in the face outside the show in real life if her and I met in person. So if Haley Orantia would have slapped me in the face, I would feel honored, and it would be a badge of honor, and I would never forget it until my last breath. So therefore, if I ever meet Haley Orantia in person, she is welcome to slap me in the face all damn day, every day of the fucking week. I hope Greg approves of this shit, but I'm pretty sure I'm tagging Anna Grace Barlow and her boyfriend in this. I'm pretty sure they're going to be cracking the fuck up. But anyway, I hope to see Lisa Levine return. That'll do it for this reaction video. Tomorrow we do the reaction video for the Johnny Benson installment, the season 1 finale of Promised Land. So, and don't forget, Wednesday we got a spring banger coming in my Fiesta Tim Duncan outfit. We're going to do some opening cutscenes at work with Margaret and friends. And then the real thing will come after work. So have a good night tonight and a better day tomorrow. Life will give you a lot of lows, but when you hit a high, enjoy it. It ain't for the weak. Goddamn, be you. You have to try harder to do less. And as of tonight, even though you can't turn back the clock, every once in a while you can slow time down just a little. So take care, everyone. Good night. And once again, Haley Orantia gets to slap me in the face for free the day comes we ever meet in person. So no new Goldbergs episode this Wednesday, so that's why the banger's coming. So for the I'll see you for the Goldberg folks. I'll see you all whenever for the Babe Labonte installment. For everybody else out there, see you all tomorrow and beyond for the Promised Land Johnny Benson installment reaction video and many more bangers in general and fire content in general, let alone content in general. So see you later, everyone.